Welcome to the DTFC Side Project Advice channel, where we dive into students' side projects to give them specific advice on how to help them reach their goals. I'm Dan Rodriguez, founder of the Disrupting the Future Coalition, the DTFC. In this video, I talk with a student about her business idea to solve mental health issues during a pandemic. Hi, Katie. Welcome to DTFC's Side Project Advice channel.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for having me. So my project is called Sunnier Days, and I created it just a couple weeks ago. The pandemic has been really negative for a lot of people, so I thought that maybe there's a way for me to create a product or a brand to boost morale. Is the problem with social media and the negative impact it has with the younger generation, to create a positive outlook for the younger generation. So I'm specifically targeting youth, so ages 16 to 25, mainly Canadian, and any gender. So anyone can participate in this or can buy this product because it's really tailored to anyone. I have created a little bit of a development plan. So far, I have the page templates for the product. I've researched some competitors within the niche to see how they're going about this issue, what products they're putting out there, what platforms they're using to market these products. And I also want to put out a product and get customer feedback to see if it's really working and if it's a desired item. That being said, the product is a prototype right now, and it's called a mindfulness legal pad and also a coloring book. So both of those go hand in hand, and they deal with issues such as anxiety, depression, really any mental illness. And I can say that mostly everyone has a hard time with this. So it's really open to everyone. When I'm making decisions within the products, I try to focus on delivering products that I know a consumer would be interested in, and making the requirements and tailoring the content to their requirements. So my next steps include creating a platform to sell and market these products. So ideally, the best place to market these products or any type of item is social media, because that's where most of the people are. But unfortunately, that kind of goes against what I'm trying to do, because I would like to see people not on social media as much. So that's a little bit of the dilemma that I have going on right now. And then I do have a question for you, Dan. So I know that mental health affects every person, no matter what age. So I was wondering if you had any advice on how I could market these products to an older generation, because right now, everything that I'm working towards is tailored to 16 to 25-year-olds. And the content I'm making, the words I'm using, all of that is tailored to that age group. So if you have any tips or tricks through your experience, I would be happy to hear those.
So when you were deciding to develop this solution, you were trying to target the younger population. And I mean, you obviously mentioned that you were interested in the older population as well. What were the things you were considering as to why you chose the younger population?
That's a really good question. So when thinking about starting a business, I knew mental health was something that I could really help with. So I was asking friends and family, and they said that they would always like a product that could help them get off the social media. I believe that the younger population has been negatively impacted more because everything is being marketed to them through social media, and it's like a society standard for everyone to be on it. So I knew that they were the target market because they're the ones who are on it the most.
That makes sense. And I mean, I think from a product development standpoint, it's good to have selected your target market. I think one things that we can kind of talk about after as well is just how do we potentially take advantage of an opportunity to generate something that also covers the older population, right? So essentially, sure, you're targeting the younger one, but if there's potential for you to be able to cover it for the older population as well, then maybe there's an opportunity, and that just opens up your reach, right? But for sure, I think you
Yeah,
made
for sure.
a good decision in trying to select a certain market to start with, because then you know where you're going with it, right? Otherwise, it can be very broad to say, hey, yeah, well, everybody has mental health issues, so I'm targeting everybody. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true, but that's a difficult thing to develop a product for, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely just a good, for me, I thought it was a good starting point
yeah,
for this.
exactly, absolutely. Okay, so I mean, in terms of like your development plan, I mean, I think it makes sense, right? You start with some like a prototype, develop a few pieces of it or iterations of it. Obviously, you did a good job making sure that you're researching competitors within the same niche and make sure you're um, thinking about what is going to be your distinct advantage within this market, and then obviously trying to get some feedback. So in terms of like the actual prototype itself, um, what was the idea that they're going to be able to use this legal pad to distract them from their phones?
Yeah. So that's the idea. The idea is that they would rather reach for this legal pad than their phone because they know it will be more um, effective for them in the long run and that it will help them mentally, really, because they're not seeing all the negativity online.
Right. So I think like so a couple things. So first off, I think from a psychological perspective, this is going to be something that you're going to be battling in terms of being able to convince your customer that they should be leaving their phone to the side to pick up your pad instead. So that's something you should be thinking about. And as a secondary piece of that is what are the incentives or the rewards going to be for you to be able to convince them that that their natural instinct to pick up their phone or go onto social media is going to be overridden by or yeah, basically overridden by your product that you're offering.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the most difficult part about it. But so what I was thinking of doing was adding a point system as an incentive at the back of the legal pad. So the idea is every day you go, you do the task, and then you can calculate your points, and that gives you the sense of satisfaction and gratitude from doing something worthwhile.
Right. So is that something that the customer would be expected to do, or that's something that you're doing for them?
For the
For the,
That's something I would be doing.
for the point system.
Yeah, I would be creating the point system, and they would do it on their own time.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I mean, I guess that's in terms of like next steps. That's what you'd be looking towards.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something I would need the customer feedback to see if it's really worthwhile. Is that a big enough incentive for them to put down their phone?
Right. So have you considered potentially giving out the product itself for free, or is this a paid product?
Um, Ultimately, I would like to make a business out of it, but maybe at the start it has to be free to get the brand name out. So it's something to think about.
Okay, because yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it from a marketing perspective, but also from like again back to the psychological aspect of it, which is if you can incentivize your customer to use your product, like that's half the battle, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, from again thinking about it from the customer's point of view, is they have to pay money to uh, help them not look at their phone, right? But what if they had a free product that, or better yet, if the product could pay them, right? If I was paid to
Yeah.
not look at my phone, that would be a very good incentive. I might strongly consider doing that, right? So
Yeah.
maybe through your rewarding system or your incentives, maybe there's like a way where they get like cash reward or whatever reward makes sense or that you think is going to incentivize them. But yeah, you're definitely right in making sure that incentives are something to be included in there, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
So a couple more questions. Did you think about trying to find out like how much time people are using social media?
No, I had that's some research that I definitely should do. Yeah, but I can assume that it's a lot based on my own usage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so the reason I'm asking is because one potential idea that you could use is maybe this could be better suited as an app that you could develop, and which would go on your phone and then would also have access to social media, right? Or at least access to maybe screen time, or being able to see how much time people are spending on social media, so that at a certain point, maybe you can give them a notification or a message saying, hey, you've been on for X amount of time. And that's then something that they're going to get direct feedback on, right?
Yeah. No, that's definitely something to think about. Creating a whole app for the brand. I think that would be a really good marketing strategy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you did a good job of not starting there, because developing an app is going to be time consuming. So I think definitely starting with trying to figure out what the market is, figure out what the product is that people would either be willing to pay for, or however you're delivering it to them. And like an app would be in a later stage, but it could be an easier implementation of this rewarding structure, and it could have some benefits from there as well.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely think of something to think about.
Cool. Um, yeah. Did you have any other questions that came up for you? Otherwise, I mean, I think we covered your last one there about the older generation, right?
Yeah. Do you have any tips on like what my next step should be? Because you have a lot of experience with running your own business. So I was just wondering if you had any ideas or any
Yeah.
suggestions.
So, I mean, the biggest thing would be to test the market, right? I think and like the concept of you developing this prototype is exactly the kind of process you want to follow, because you want to put in as little effort as you can to develop something that is still going to be representative of what you're eventually trying to do, but allows you to get some customer feedback, which is what you've mentioned is what you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do. So, I think you're on the right track for sure. I think then it's definitely something to consider, that, or something that you want to be able to consider, is making sure that you're meeting all your requirements, right? So you're gonna have to look back to that and see what does a customer want. And I mean, I think you also mentioned that, but make sure that that's your focus, right? So as you're testing the market, is what you're delivering meeting the requirements, and then is the customer getting what they want? Are you able to find out, okay, how much would they pay? Maybe there's a price point decision that you have to figure out, because then that'll help you later on to figure out all the next steps in, okay, developing an app, or any of the costs that are going to be associated with trying to take this to the next level.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Katie, for doing this, and I look forward to seeing where you take Sunnier Days next.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, Katie. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the DTFC's Side Project Advice channel.